Hello, and welcome to my re-recording of Entropy Man, my Mega Man level. I'm re-recording this because the original video, which is also on the channel that I will be uploading this to, has pretty bad audio. I was sitting too close to the microphone, and I figured I would like to show this level off, since it'd be difficult for someone to play, since this was made in a bit of an older version of Mega Man Maker. But I wouldn't want to force someone to sit through that audio, so here's a much more bearable version. My goals with this level were, one, to practice 2D level design. You know, this is kind of a good way to have a set of pre-made tools to experiment with and see what you can do with and all that. And what the central conceit of this level was, what I wanted to build the level around was I wanted to have like a broader or like abstract idea, such as entropy, and build the level around that. Most Mega Man levels have much more simple themes, like the forest or flowers or tops, something like that. But I wanted to take something a bit more, I guess, existential and see if I could make a level that reflects that. And you'll see how it reflects that in a second, but first I would like to talk about this power-up. Because I discovered this myself when I was using this. I've only played Mega Man 1 through 6, and I'm assuming this is something available in previous games, or in later games, I should say. It's essentially a whip that you can swing across, and I ended up building these sewer sections around that. As you see, they're low enough that you can kind of splash across the water, and that's kind of a nice visual effect. You know, I think that adds a bit of visual flair to this level. Here's the kind of final stretch of this section, and here's the end of the second half. And here comes the second half, which you may notice, given a few seconds, that this is very similar to the first half, except, you know, much more difficult. Now's kind of the goal here. I wanted the second half of this level to be kind of a future setting, or a future of what the first half would look like. And everything's kind of decayed, like the sky's full of smog, and there's skulls everywhere. It turns out it's not very easy to find, like, decayed textures in Mega Man. A lot of Mega Man graphics are very crisp and, like, colorful. So I worked with what I could find. And I think it works, you know. I think it very much reflects the much more difficult nature of this place. Although maybe the stage itself is a bit too difficult. I think that's my main regret with this level. Making the difficulty curve a little too steep. Because, especially in the sewer section, which we'll get to in a second, it's a bit difficult it's definitely a bit much for the player. And here we go. The scary eyes in the background. And this is another thing I discovered, which I don't believe I'd seen this one previously. These rockets that explode after moving a certain distance. These are kind of meant to scare the player a little bit, add some more tension to this underground section. Especially here. This is kind of that would definitely put the player on their toes. Having to wait till the last second to jump without seeing any way out in sight. Yeah, as you can see here, it might be it's probably a little unreasonable to expect the player to be able to do something like that without having much experience with the whip. You know, I did give them. You might have seen, but like at the very when they first found the whip, I had like a little nub above it, so they could practice with it a little bit before actively going out and swinging. But that might not have been enough, you know. So if I was to go back and change this level significantly, I would probably make it much longer. Oh, no, not much longer, but like add a like more in between the first and second, more in the middle of this first half and the middle of the second half. I was trying to figure out how to word that. I'm sorry. And I'd also add maybe some of these spokes that you swing across in the building section of the second half. You know, that way the player would have more experience instead of having to deal with these sewer sections by themselves. And here's the boss. And there's a few details I like here. Like, one thing that, you know, the skull just kind of reflects it nicely. You know, this theme of decay and all that. And, oh, okay. Okay, I'm gonna die, because there's more things I want to talk about and point out. For one thing, when you walk in here, one of the player's feet is on that, platform that falls down. And that kind of that's how I wanted to signal to the player, like, the immediate danger of this place. It's very easy to fall down if you're not careful with your leg room. But as you saw earlier, it's also easy to get this guy killed. I'm gonna die one more time because I want to keep talking. It's very easy to get him killed by having enough of the ground removed. However, the real challenge is being able to kill him and get back to this safe zone on the left. And I could have done that in the past 2 times, but I wanted to bring this up because I think this reflects the idea of entropy very well. Like, the level itself is falling apart, and you have to erase entropy itself. Okay, now I'm gonna let it rest. But at the same time, it's also very inconsistent. Like, sometimes this boss is very simple. Sometimes I die a few times trying to get it done. Those spokes up there, those are originally to give the players some safety to stay above the level, but as you can see, I didn't have to use it very much. So that might be another thing I'd like polish up, but I'm kind of proud of the central concept of how that boss works. Anyway, that is all I have to show. Thank you very much for watching.